Good morning, traders. Happy Monday, and welcome back to the Trader Bacon Show. I've missed 2 weeks, so it's been 3 weeks since I've seen you folks, and I got to tell you, I have missed this so much, and I've missed you guys. I appreciate you guys hanging in there and coming back after the brief hiatus. Speaking of hiatus, the Forge Trader podcast is back up and running with 2 new episodes, and we will continue to have almost weekly episodes. My podcast guy is out of town this week, so we'll skip this week and jump back in next week. We're going to have some great highlights and news stories and just continuing to update you guys on my journey. Now, speaking of my journey, we're going to go into full segue mode here. I kind of hinted at this on the last show, but I was waiting for confirmation. But if you've been watching the show or following me in any form or fashion, you know what a big deal this is to me. Not only have I actually received my first payout, but my second payout as well. And as of this morning, I'm eligible for a request on a second account for my third payout. So things are continuing to move forward. I actually had a rough day on Friday and broke a 17-day winning streak. And I was a little concerned as to how I was going to handle that, considering all of the baggage. I handled it reasonably well and came back today with a vengeance. So not here bragging. You guys know how much of a struggle this has been for me, and I'm super excited to just share some of my joy with you guys, because to be real honest with you guys have been a big part of this journey for me. So I'm super grateful to be able to spend this time and share this with you guys. We've got winners from last week's show. Let's see here. We got Muhammad Nadir, Turner, and Alex. Congratulations. Not last week's show, 3 weeks ago show. You guys have already received your emails and everything like that, but we will be giving away 3 evaluations on this show, just like we usually do. So please make sure to fill out the form. It will be in the chat in just a moment. Get that filled out before the end of the show, and you will be in the drawing to win one of those 3 evaluations. So good luck to all of you on that. Apex right now, last day, 80% off on any size evaluation. The 250,000 and the 300,000 are even more deeply discounted. So if you like the big boys, now is the time. You've got until 11:59 p.m. tonight is the end of this promotion. Make sure to use promo code Benzinga at apextraderfunding.com. You will always get the best price available. And right now is the last few hours to get that amazing price. Also 1 day to pass, also discounted lifetime PA fees, all that kind of good stuff. So take full advantage of that right now while you have the opportunity. I am super excited about today's show. We're going to go a little bit different today. We're not going to be pulling up charts. I am going to be speaking with 2 legends from the like the old school trading days. We're talking like trading on the floor of the exchange, and just a tremendous amount of experience, wisdom, and insight into the markets. You might recognize these names. You might recognize these faces. I'm super excited to share with you guys today from Wall Street Global Trading Academy, Peter Tuchman and David Green on today's episode of the Trader Bacon Show. Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Are you ready? Because the Trader Bacon Show starts right now. Gentlemen, what an honor to have you on the show. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
It is our pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Always
for
a
having
pleasure.
us.
Thanks for having us.
Let me just start, Gates, by saying this. Although me and Peter have been doing this for a very long time, okay, we have adapted to trading over the course of the last 40 years. Me and Peter started working on the floor with Alexander Hamilton in 1843. Now, we actually met. We met in 1985. Me and Pete started working on the floor of the stock exchange together.
I believe Peter's in the room where they actually had that duel a little while back, right?
Here, I'll actually show you. Here's the portrait that we did of Alexander Hamilton. So he is, right? He and I went to high school together. He's buried across the street. I'm still trading the market.
You know what? Look, we can't take this show so seriously, guys. I need you guys to lighten up and share some fun with me today.
Listen, guys, when it comes to trading,
Awesome.
I am deadly serious when it comes to trading. I have a private trading room, very small private trading room with less than 100 people in it. And when we're trading, we're trading. And like I said,
I know that. I've tried to compete with the time that you spend in the trading room a couple times, including now, as a matter of fact. So I know you're in the trading room, and while you may have to look away, I'll chat with Peter if you do. And again, I appreciate. I know that this is really time that you dedicate to your students. So thanks for sharing that with us as well. So
it's all good, Gates. We're done trading for the day. We had a couple of nice setups early this morning. And whenever that happens, I tell my people, time is the most precious commodity in the world. Get out, go do something else.
I love it, man. I was done trading at 9:35 this morning. I couldn't believe it. That was like my fastest day ever. And it was a good fastest day ever too. So that's always a plus. So let's go back in time, man. You guys started trading together in 1985. So what was the internet like in 1985? I mean, how did you guys find those setups?
There was none.
Yeah, you know what? There was no. If you go back to 1985, David started, I believe, as a squad on the floor of the stock exchange. I started as a teletypist. Literally, last Thursday was 40 years since I've been on the floor of the exchange. It was March 26, 1985. It was actually the day that Ronald Reagan rang the opening bell. I don't remember that. I don't remember much of the 80s, but that's okay. Anyway, the floor of the stock exchange back then was literally, I mean, if you guys have ever seen movies of it, it was actual open outcry, right? In the old days, you had to sort of start at the bottom of the rung. David is a squad runner, me as a teletypist, and you have to work your way up through trust and getting to know people, become a broker to get a seat on the stock exchange. David went on to become a market maker. I became a broker. I got my first seat in 1988, and I don't know when David got his, but that was how things ran back then. I don't know if they were even using technical analysis to trade markets back then. Dave, as a market maker, had all the orders in his hand. I was a house broker for a company called Cowan and Company. I'd go into the crowd. I had 100,000 shares to buy. I would ask them, what's the market? They'd tell me a couple of guys are bidding, a couple of guys are offering, and we'd have a negotiation. That's how trading went back there. Obviously, there was no internet. There was none of the things that we use right now. And on the floor, you didn't use charts, right? That was not what it was. It was all open outcry. You have to read the market and the people.
That's amazing.
I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
So I was a specialist broker on the Florida Stock Exchange. And like Pete said, people used to come to me with their orders, and I would have to write them down in a paper book, all the orders, and I had some in my hands. I had the buyers in my left hand and the sellers in my right hand. And quite frankly, you didn't have to be a genius to make money as a specialist broker on the Florida, New York Stock Exchange back then. But when I left, so I left at the end of 2000. I was 38 years old when I retired. I don't know how to do anything else. I've never done anything else. I barely got out of high school. I didn't go to college. The only job I ever had was working on the Florida, New York Stock Exchange. So I went to trade on my own, and probably in a month or two, I lost $300,000 because I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. I had no idea what technical analysis was. I never read a chart in my life, and it was all ego. You know, I would buy something, watch it keep going down, and buy it till I felt like throwing up, get out of it. Then, of course, it would turn around and go right back up. So over the course of many years, I taught myself technical analysis, and been trading ever since for myself and teaching and mentoring people. Me and Pete started the Wall Street Global Trading Academy about 6 years ago now, Pete, I think it was.
Yep, 2020 during COVID.
That's amazing. So I have to share my little story with you guys. It's nowhere near as cool as y'all, but you talk about knowing people. In November, I had the opportunity to be in New York with Daryl Morton. He was being interviewed because, you know, he's the one that people really want to talk to. And so we had an opportunity to actually get on the floor. So I've got pictures of me on the floor just a few months ago when Bootborn did the opening bell, which was really, really cool to see. So I can only imagine what it was like back then. So I have a real question here, and I've always wondered this. We've all seen the movies. We've all seen like the yelling and screaming and everything like that. How did you keep that? Like, how did you keep it organized and in line? It seems like it would be impossible.
No, not at all. It was, first of all, you know, for me personally, I never had a nerve in my life down there. I loved every minute of it. It was like playing in the Super Bowl every day. And I could have 10 buyers on one side, 10 sellers on the other side. I would know exactly what every single one of them had. I would know the count that they had. It was just something, look, it was basically you had to be really good at math and just not fold under pressure. I mean, Pete would be in the crowd sometimes and he'll tell you, yelling, screaming, I got you, I got you, I got this. It was really like trading places when they were on the floor of the exchange, when everybody was yelling and screaming at him. That's exactly what it was. But we loved it. To this day, I love it. Trading to me is still like trading in the Super Bowl, playing in the Super Bowl every day. No pressure whatsoever. Just loved it.
That is super cool. I'm totally geeking out on this.
Your question, when you got into a crowd with an order, right? You knew what you were looking to do. If I was a buyer, I was looking to listen for the sellers. If I was a seller, I was looking to see a buyer. You could be in the crowd with 50 people. Everybody is screaming and yelling, but you had a sense in your mind of what you needed to hear, what you needed to look for. So when you saw the sellers, you focused in on them, and you'd be trading with different people along the way. Right. So it was super important to keep your eye focused, know the people that you were trading with, and then sort of, it was you had to have certain skills. You had to have people skills, number skills. You have to not be thrown by stress. Right. You have to sort of look, everybody has their different way they do things. So like if you were a trader on the floor, you needed to be able to deal with the chaos and the adrenaline. And if that was how you rolled, if that stuff didn't knock you off your beam, then that was the place for you. And that's how it worked. I would listen for the other side of the trade. I had 100,000 shares of IBM to buy with 123 top. I would be listening for someone offering around my price. And then you would sort of read the room. It's probably I've never been to a casino, but I would bet Dave has. It's probably like reading the table. You're looking for whatever everybody else's cards are. And it was the same thing. You read the people, you read the room, you listened for the numbers.
One thing with me, I really never developed the social skills. I was there to make money, not to make friends. I was actually one of 4 brothers. Me and my 3 brothers all worked on the Florida New York Stock Exchange at the same time together for 20 years. And we all started as runners in squads, and we all became partners of our firm. It's the first time in the history of the New York Stock Exchange that ever happened. And we didn't know anybody. My father was a New York City fireman. It was just something we all had a knack for. So imagine those dinner conversations when the 4 of us got together.
Can only imagine. So a guy I knew that used to work on the floor, I think in Chicago, but he used to tell a story about how these guys would have like what they would call their Brazil days, right? So if they got too deep into whatever they had accessible, they had one shot that day. They had a ticket to Brazil and whatever their tickets were that they were gonna buy or sell or whatever for the day. If the day went well, they'd shred the ticket. If the day went poorly, they'd be on a plane. I mean, have you ever heard stories like this?
I've heard stories. Listen. I can tell you this, that if everybody's seen the Wolf of Wall Street movie, we made him look like a Boy Scout. That's the God's honest truth. I can tell you that right now. I remember going out on Friday nights and waking up in Spain. I mean, it was crazy back. It was the 80s. It was the 80s. And thank God me and Pete gave that lifestyle up a long time ago, but we're still here. So we made it through.
It's great to see, man. So let's talk about the transition.
I will.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to tell, look, some of the old, so when you came down to the floor and you were working and the stress, and look, it's the most stressful job next to air traffic controller in the world, right? So you were literally at the point of execution. It was screaming and yelling. It was pretty much, and you were look, we had 45 seconds from the moment I got my order until I needed to start actually buying or selling stock. I could be held to a price of a stock that was trading within 45 seconds. So you really needed to be super hyper-focused. You'd run into the crowd, you'd read the crowd and trade it. But the alternative to that was all the that we do. So there was a lot of jokes they used to have on the floor. We used to powder people. So when a guest would come down to the floor, this actually happened to George Bush, where people would be sort of, they were guests on the floor. They were overwhelmed by all the excitement, the screaming and yelling, and someone would come up behind them and they would powder their shoes. And then everyone would sort of surround them and start tapping their feet and scream, "It's snowing in New York. It's snowing in New York." And they would look down at their shoes and they had baby powder all over their shoes. We actually did it to George Bush when he was president. So look, there were other games that we used to play. There was a lot of humor that went into the work because it was so stressful. But anyway, you were asking about the transition.
It was the most generous place on earth to work.
Wow.
God forbid anyone had ever had a problem. We would go around with a hefty bag and fill it up with money. If somebody had a stroke or somebody's wife or whatever it was, there were no more generous people than anywhere on earth than the Florida New York Stock Exchange. To this day. to this day still.
I love it.
You know what? I'll tell you a funny story. Everyone may remember the comedian Gallagher, right?
Oh,
Gallagher was the guy who used to work in Vegas, and he used to smash watermelons in his. That was part of his shtick in his show. He came down to the floor of the stock exchange, and he and I were talking. We sort of look alike. He's bald in the front, really long hair in the back. Apparently, he and I were handed him a piece of watermelon from a fruit cup, and he literally, I had a bald head. I still have a bald head, and he put the watermelon on my head and smashed it, and watermelon went everywhere. And I ended up being taken upstairs to a 5-governor panel because of conduct unbecoming a broker, and I ended up getting fined $5,000. By the time I got down to the floor, the word had got that I was being fined. All the brokers had gotten together, as David said, with a hefty bag. They went around, and when I got to the floor, they handed me $5,000 in 20s, and they said, "Go pay your fine and get back to work." So that was the kind of people it was.
I once got fined $50,000 and suspended for a month, and I'm not even going to tell you that story because I can't on here.
Well, I thought that was going back to the snow stories, and I was going to say it was the 80s. I certainly hope we weren't talking about, anything unbecoming or not HR friendly in 2000.
Oh, there was plenty of that, Gates. It was always snowing in New York.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I can only imagine. I want to talk about the transition. Look, in the 90s, the internet happened, right? And all of a sudden, people on laptops are sitting there doing what you guys had developed a skill for. What was your initial thought on the idea of a schmo like me getting behind a screen and going, "I'm going to buy"? What did that look like?
Yeah, I could tell you that by the time I was leaving, the end of 1999, 2000, it was really starting to come into play. Mm-hmm. And the writing was on the wall for a lot of the firms that were down there. Everything started consolidating, getting small. When I started, there was 55 firms on the exchange. And when I left, I think there was 15. So it was starting to get smaller and smaller. Everything was becoming electronic. We used to trade in eighths and quarters and halves. Then it went to 16ths. Then it went to pennies. Right. Pennies to me was really the end of the market down there, as we knew it anyway. It's still there. It still exists. Still the greatest place in the world. But when we went to pennies and everything became electronic, I was the first clerk ever in 1987 before the crash to have an electronic trading book. No idea what I was doing. Just push buttons. It was a pain in the ass. I had errors every single day, but that was the first. So when I left in 2000, that's when it really became accessible for guys like you and retail traders to be sitting at home and watching the markets. And if you knew a little technical analysis, that's how you made your trades.
For guys like you that built your life and your career on the floor, was there anger and bitterness, or did you embrace it, or what did that actually look like for you guys? That's
a good question. It depends on how you went out, Gates. If you went out because your firm got taken over for $6.5 billion, then you weren't so angry. If you went out because of attrition and everything just getting smaller, then it wasn't so great. And it was a huge adjustment for a lot of people. Go ahead, Pete.
No, I was going to say I was the last. So I don't even own a computer to this day. I'm a tech, and I completely resisted the transition. So this started to get a little bit techified, and they came up with this little Palm Pilot. I'm sure you remember the Palm Pilot. It had a little stylus. That was actually the first card what they gave us from paper and pad to a Palm Pilot to try and trade. I was completely resistant of it. Then they went to what it looks like sort of an iPad was the next transition. And I literally resisted it to the point where I was the last broker who basically they said to me at the end of, they said it was a Friday afternoon. They said, "Pete, if you don't pick up and embrace the handheld computer and start trading with it Monday, you're out of a job, because we are not going to be able to trade on paper any longer." So I'm a perfect example of somebody who resisted it. I hate it. I loved Open Outcry. I don't like the handheld computer. Look, and at the end of the day, it changed the whole nature of the market in so many different ways. Look, it opened another door, right? For every door that closes, one opens, right? So all the new technical analysis, all the people upstairs, a whole new generation of people started trading the market. And for that, we're grateful. The things that changed during COVID, right? David and I created Wall Street Global Trading Academy as a function of COVID happening. 40 million new traders came into the market, right? When suddenly accessibility to the market changed. Everybody with an iPhone and $100 could trade the market when Webull and Robinhood came along. And that happened during COVID. So David and I looked at each other. We've been friends since all back in the day. And we said, you know what? We're looking at all these new applications, but the one thing they're missing is the educational component. None of these companies, they're giving access to the market. They're inviting everybody to the party, but they're not telling anybody how to do it. They're not teaching them that this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. They're not teaching people how to use technical analysis and risk management. So we spent 6 months building Wall Street Global Trading Academy, which exists to this day. We have thousands of students all over the world. It's 21 hours, 21 videos. We coach and mentor all our students every week. David was probably one of the best teachers in technicals in the whole world, right? I mean, he's the kind of guy, when you were in college, you didn't care what he taught. He was one of those teachers you just wanted to be in his class. And and it's his motivation. It isn't even about the money. It's basically for us, we love what we do, right? I love it from the floor. He loves it as a teacher. So I'm the motivator in chief. David is the teacher, and we have students that come on. We coach and mentor them every Thursday night. And, we're there to make this market accessible, affordable, and fun, to teach them it's not about getting rich quick. It's about literally hitting singles and doubles and creating some disposable income. During COVID, we know people were out of work. People were struggling. We have stories, people who, didn't know how they were going to support their family. They were going to try and get a job at Home Depot. They joined our course. David taught them how to trade, and their lives turned around. Guys who came back from the service, they couldn't, they couldn't really get a job. They were traumatized by what they had gone through. They came on board. David took them by the hand and taught them how to trade. This young guy, I can't even remember his name now, but we changed people's lives. A place where people had to trade. Be able to make some money for themselves, and so we've sort of been.
One sec, Pete. Guys and girls, we came out today as an intro. We just wanted to introduce ourselves so you guys get familiar with us. Wednesdays, when we come back, and probably going forward, we're going to be trading. I will have my charts to share with everybody. I will share with you guys my technical analysis. I think we're going to be here Wednesday at 11:30 to do a little bit of that, Gates. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So just to let all of you in the audience know, we didn't do charts today specifically because they're going to be on Futures Fever at 11:30 a.m. on Eastern time, of course, on Futures Fever Wednesday with my buddy Kevin, who is actually one of my mentors in the world of trading. And they're going to go full in. You're not going to get 10 minutes of a couple of trade ideas. You're going to actually spend the entire time looking and talking about charts. So make sure to check that out. That's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I know I will be there live, and I'll probably be in the chat throwing a few little cherry bombs in there for you guys. But that is absolutely going to be a phenomenal show. You definitely don't want to miss that. Put that in your calendar right away. So let's talk a little bit about the whole world of mentoring, because the reality is, and we talk about the fact COVID brought a lot of people out of the woodwork, and people's lives have changed, for better or worse, through the idea of trading when people just weren't going into jobs anymore. You guys started this academy. One thing that just really sits with me is, YouTube. Look, everybody has a YouTube channel and anybody can put up videos, and you have no idea whether or not these people know anything, have any background, have any insight, can really teach you anything. So when I look at two guys like you who have basically been in the world of trading 100% of the time that retail trading on computer has existed, you guys have put together a curriculum and a program that I want more. I haven't had the opportunity to get a hold of any of that. I definitely want a chance to talk to you guys about that at some point. If you're curious, go check out WSGTA.com. That's Wall Street Global Trading Academy, WSGTA.com. Check that out for sure. It's a passion project. It's like the Forex Trader podcast for me. I do it not because it's really building anything, but my journey has been so impactful in my life. I love sharing it. You guys know my story. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. From what you guys have seen from the education side of things, what does the arc look like for a typical new trader coming in? Or is there anything that can even remotely be called typical in the world of learning how to trade?
Yeah, I mean, for me, and I spend a ton of time talking about this, especially with beginning traders or traders who have been struggling with it. It's this. This is the first thing that we got to get straightened out. If we can't get our head straightened out and have a strict set of rules and follow those rules all the time, when I do my live boot camps, I spend an entire day talking about rules and trader psychology, because that is by far the most important part. There's nothing more important than that. This is a marathon, not a sprint. It's okay to make little bits when you first start doing this, especially in the Apex world, because people, when Apex does a sale, and by the way, I have a lot of Apex accounts. I love Apex. That's where we want to be. But people see they have a sale for $33 or whatever it is, and they run in and they buy 20 or 30 accounts, and they figure if they blow them all up, all right, I lost $600. I don't look at it that way. We don't teach it that way. I look at this as this is real money every single time I'm trading. We teach strict technical analysis. We look for different trading setups. I do not push a button unless that trade sets up. And mentorship is probably the most important thing. Like you said, there's a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds out there. You can find plenty of them on YouTube. And they're posting big, giant numbers up there. You can bet, number one, either it's not true. Okay, my father told me a long time ago to believe none of what I hear and only half of what I see. Okay. So you can bet these people who are posting these gigantic numbers up there, there's either nonsense or they're having big losing numbers too. For 40 years I'm doing this, I've been hitting singles and doubles. That's what my career has been right out of the gate. Singles, doubles, patience, discipline. And this is a very difficult thing to do. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not. It's a hard thing to do. When they say 90% of the people who try to do this fail, that's a stat. That's real. Yep. It's 100% real. So get your mindset right first, and then you got to find the system that works for you. You know, I can tell you and show you statistics. For all of last month, we were about 78% profitable on our trades, which that in itself doesn't mean anything, because I know people who post that they're 90% positive on trades and lose money. Because once we figure all that other stuff out, then it's what we do when we get into a trade. That's it.
One of the things that I've realized, and again, you know, I like to talk about the time frame. I like people to have realistic expectations, because if this is not I'm going to go watch a couple of YouTube videos and in 6 months I'm going to start to see the cash rolling in. It just doesn't work that way. I'm not going to say it's never happened, but it's not the norm. And through all of the frustration and all of the challenges, technically my trading journey has been 27 years, but really it's been about, call it 27 months. And when I look back, I mean, I talked to literally hundreds of traders. Honestly, that's a relatively short period of time. It's not that it can't be done, but I've been highly, highly committed. And I also had to fight a lot of demons. And so when it comes to really developing not just a trading strategy, but developing as a trader, which to me, I think is the bigger picture. And I think that's what you're talking about with the mindset. That is the critical factor. You can't just say, I'm going to go learn a skill and pop it out. It's just not that easy, right? So when you've got the trading room, you're talking to people live. What kind of stuff are you guys talking about in the trading room besides just the trades?
A lot of psychology, look, I know at the end of the month when I go and I journal every single trade I do, and if you're not journaling your trades, you're doing yourself a big disservice, guys and girls, and we'll talk more about that on Wednesday. But I know when people are struggling, and I know the people who are struggling, because I know after a day or after a week, we've had a good week, patient, discipline, and somebody says, Dave, I didn't do good this week. Well, I know why. They're just simply not following the rules, right? So I spend a lot of time, and in the private trading room, I post every single trade that I do live in real time. I have skin in the game in every single trade that I do. Right. So I am posting entries, exits, stop orders. Disclaimer, everybody pushes their own buttons. We know that. But we spend more time talking about trading than trading. And quite frankly, good traders should be bored most of the time.
Right. Exactly. I love it. Guys, I could do this for hours. I'm looking at the clock going, man, I got to wind it down. So I want to thank you guys for really spending some time joining in. This has been an absolute pleasure and honor to see you guys. I'm going to do a little quick business, and then I'm going to talk to you guys real quick. First of all, for those of you out there, make sure to fill out the form for the free evaluations. There's nothing better than free. At the end of the day, that is an unlimited lottery ticket if you choose to use it that way. So go get that. Disclaimer, there's no guarantees. We all know that. We will be back next week for another episode. We're going to go back to the more traditional format. We're going to be talking to one trader, talking charts, all that kind of good stuff. But I just could not waste this opportunity to really get to know these guys and share them with you guys. So this was so much fun. And the stories were unbelievable. So again, make sure you fill that out. 12 and a half hours left on the 80% off sale. Make sure to use promo code Benzinga at apextraderfunding.com. Go get those big boys. Those big boys are extra on sale. Just go check it out. You'll see all the numbers and everything on there. So great stuff. And make sure to go see David and Peter on Futures Fever on Wednesday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, right here on the Benzinga channel. If you have not done so, like, subscribe. I see you guys all commenting. If you haven't commented yet, throw some comments in there. That really helps as well. And gentlemen, wow, that's really all I've got to say. I'm never going to have another show that's gonna be like this. This was absolutely unbelievable, and I totally geeked out on this one. Thank you guys.
It was our pleasure to be here.
We really appreciate.
Yeah, we love working with Benzinga. You guys are the best. It's just going to be the start of a beautiful relationship.
Awesome. Go check them out Wednesday, boys and girls. You do not want to miss that one. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Trader Bacon Show. Thanks for joining the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Make sure to join us next time.